Everyone, we are your hosts, Nabeel and Yawar of Cambrian Explosion, and we wanted to talk to you today about I think something that probably a lot of people saw that it just happened yesterday in the White House, and we wanted to kind of like share our thoughts on it and kind of maybe see if we have different opinions or thoughts there, and also we're definitely interested in hearing what you all have to say or think about it. So it should be an interesting one. But we're gonna keep it short and sweet for this episode because obviously we're not political pundits or analysts, but we just want to kind of like share our rough thoughts on what happened. So, Nabil, can I ask you to like give us a quick recap of the situation up until yesterday?
So, the Ukraine war has been going on for some time. There has been a shift between U.S. foreign policy as that has come with the change in the government, and we are seeing the outcomes of that shift with Trump coming in. This is, I think, also a continuation of our last discussion around Trump. Um, but also it affects immigrants, right? Because a large portion of immigrants in the past few years to Canada and the US has been Ukrainian refugees and Russian refugees. There's also mobilization in Russia, and there are people from Russia who are trying to avoid that mobilization who came here. So that's I think really the setup of like where is the Ukraine war at, and where is it going to head, what direction is it going to head into, keeping in mind that it will have major impacts not just for that region but also between relationships between Russia, the EU, and US Canada. So it's very interesting to watch. um, and I think we have come to what usually the climax, the drama point in a soap opera. Unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know how to say that, but it's basically the climax point, in a big soap opera that we've come to, and I think
That we
just
just witnessed yesterday, right?
yeah, that we just witnessed yesterday.
This
Uh,
is the big confrontation.
this is the
This is
big
the big con.
confrontation, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on how
Yeah,
you read what happened, and how you read things
yeah.
moving forward.
So, interesting. So, just to kind of be clear about what happened, obviously, President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine was invited to the White House to sit with Donald Trump, President Trump, and Vice President Judy Vance, and other U.S. cabinet members to have like a discussion and then a press conference, which they were supposed to have. And then they basically all ganged up on him and ambushed him, right? Like they kind of like came at him like, um, you're in a very weak position. You don't have what you don't have what it takes to win. You need to seriously think about avoiding, the destruction of your country. You need to do this. You need to do that. You're gambling with World War III. Um, have you even thanked the president even once after coming into the White House for all his help why aren't you wearing a suit and tie? Why are you dressed so casually in the White House? You're disrespecting the American people. They tried basically every single tactic under the sun.
Mm.
Uh, this group of people, they tried on him, and he kind of had to go run through this gauntlet and try to keep them focused on the war. They're kicking Russia out of Ukraine. That's his only goal. And he, it's kind of like herding cats, like herding a bunch of cats who are all trying to claw and bite you at the same time.
Hmm.
That's what it looked like to me.
Did you feel that there were two different mindset at play? One, oftentimes, what you wear often is a signal of what mindset you're in. If you're wearing
Mm,
combat fatigues, you're
mm,
saying that I'm at war. If you're wearing
Yeah.
a business suit, you're saying
Mm,
I'm trying to make a deal.
mm,
And did you feel, therefore, that there were two different mindsets at play? One being, hey, can we figure out how to um, align ourselves to a more
mm.
victorious or a better, a more advantageous position in the war versus, hey, how do we make a deal around this war?
Yeah, definitely. Now that you point that out, there's that contrast. Like the person who is at war,
Hmm,
he wants to win the war,
hmm,
and the person who is making a deal, he wants to like basically get those rare earth minerals that are in Ukraine, right?
yeah.
So that he's putting pressure on President Zelensky to make that deal, to give the U.S. the rare earth minerals
Hmm,
in exchange for U.S. support. But at the same time, he's pressuring the Ukrainian president to essentially what he's saying is that you have to surrender. There is no other way. You have to surrender to Russia. Otherwise, you are gambling with World War III. That there's no other way to put this. Like he basically told him in front of the whole world, you must surrender, right?
I think so. It's just to ferret out two different pieces in there. One piece of it, this whole as of what happened here debacle yesterday, is that these discussions shouldn't happen in public. These are private discussions.
Exactly. And the
And
fact that it happened in public also sent a clear statement that they publicly berated him at the White House in
yes,
front of the whole press corps and in front of the whole world.
yes. So I that's and I think I want to ferret out that there's that line over there.
Mm,
But also there's the other line, which is, okay, assume that you are sitting with Trump in a private setting, and he said,
mm,
hey, um, what can we do for you
yeah.
to not escalate to World War III, right?
Mm,
But at the same time, continue supporting the war.
mm,
I think the options that are presented there are very, very limited. What would, in your opinion, be some of the options that be,
mhm,
could be played there? Because I feel that when Trump's gone in and tried to negotiate with the Russians, they had like a 3 4 hour meeting with the Russians uh,
mhm. In Saudi Arabia.
in Saudi
Yeah.
Arabia, and I'm pretty sure that the Russians would have put in place like, hey, these are some of our red lines, this and that.
Mhm,
Um, they have to be able to present um, either give a genuine advantage to the Ukrainians so that when sitting on the negotiating table, the Ukrainians are able to negotiate from that position of advantage, or the Russians really are calling the bluff, right? And I'm just curious what you think that Ukrainians could do to or what the West could present to the Ukrainians to ensure the Russians um, move at least some of the requirements of Zelensky are met during the peace negotiations.
Well, realistically, it looks like Ukraine will have to slice off the eastern part of the country and
Mm,
give it to Russia
mm,
as a kind of like a sacrifice.
mm,
That region of Ukraine. That's basically that's
mm.
basically appeasement, right? Appeasement.
Yeah, even
But
though morally
the
it might not be right, but realistically, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, yeah. So realistically, obviously, appeasement, but then obviously, you have the argument that appeasement never works.
Mm,
The aggressor will just keep wanting more and more,
mm.
et cetera, et cetera. So you are just kicking the can down the road and making it the problem for the next person to solve. So yeah, there's really no good option, and also the fact that you said that, as you said earlier, that they had uh, they had negotiations in Saudi Arabia between the U.S. officials and the Russian officials. And then very shortly after that, President Trump publicly threatens or scolds President Zelensky, saying that you're gambling with World War III.
Mm,
Uh, that says to me that in the Russia-U.S. meeting, Russia basically said that they will escalate
Yeah.
uh, into World War III. So, which means that they probably said something like, we're going to strike at NATO bases and stuff like that.
Well, I
If you continue to support Ukraine.
I think it's a little more nuanced than that. I think that the issue that is happening is that um, the Ukrainians are running out of trained men who can arm the guns,
Mhm,
and they either have to go and recruit from a much younger population base,
mhm,
which they have avoided from the 18 to 25 years old, which they have
mhm,
avoided so far.
mhm,
And that too will require some, 3 4 months 5 months of training before they are battle ready.
mhm,
So the other option is to have British, French, German, American
mhm,
troops on Ukrainian land. And
mhm,
for that specific thing, the Russians
mhm,
are very clear. If you follow
mhm,
their foreign policy statements, if
mhm,
they're very, very clear. They're like, if there are Western troops there, we're going to assume that they are participant to the war. We're going to
mhm,
start bombing them, which
mhm,
the Western nations will straight away go like, that means that you
mhm,
have killed our people. So now we're
mhm,
at war with you. So,
mhm.
so that's an escalation. That's straight away as
Right.
one thing leads to another, leads to, you know,
Mhm.
it becoming a world war. So
Chain reaction. Yeah.
it's a chain reaction, and I do think that when you look at World War I and World War II, both escalated in a very similar manner, chain
Mhm.
reaction, one after the other. Even with a
Yeah.
ceasefire in Ukraine, there is still a possibility of a World War III happening,
Mm,
things going bad because of some incident here or there. But that's the real scare there. Like, the Russians are
mm,
genuine in saying that they're gonna take on, like, if there are Western troops in
mm,
Ukraine, they're gonna bomb them.
mm. Uh, we are kind of reaching the end of the episode in a few more minutes, but I do want to like say one more thing, which kind of struck me yesterday when I
Mhm.
watched the session at the White House. Um, so President Zelensky said something like this. We are in a bad position because we are facing many issues, which you are separated from everything by an ocean,
Yeah.
by the ocean, so you don't have to face these issues. But maybe one day you might have to face these issues as well, and you will have these problems as well, and you won't feel that good at that time. And that really triggered, like I would say, it triggered President Trump and President Vice President Vance, and they got like very very upset by that. Like, don't tell us how we're gonna feel. We feel very good. This that. Like, to me that sends a clear message, like how quickly they got you know escalated by that message, by that thought of the US also being, pressured by Russia. It seems to me that things are really escalating in the Arctic passages and the Russia-Alaska area. That area, I think, is kind of starting to heat up, and the US is also feeling the pressure there.
That's an interesting observation. I don't
Yeah.
have any data points for that. I mean,
Yeah. I,
usually,
I don't either. I don't either. I'm just going off of what I saw in,
yeah,
in that public meeting, which is
yeah.
that they got very angry when it was mentioned that they might feel the pressure and Russia would find a way to pressurize the US, despite the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. That must mean there's only one other option, right? If you can't approach US from Atlantic and Pacific, then that leaves the Arctic Ocean.
No, I will share with you a
Yeah.
couple of other thoughts that come
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
mind. One
Sure.
is, they might have been triggered because it's not because they are pressured over
Mhm,
there, but they were pressured
mhm.
in the negotiations, in the 4 hour long negotiations
In Saudi Arabia. Okay.
in Saudi
Yeah.
Arabia. And here's the parallel of the Ukraine thing is always going to be Cuba. Um,
Mm.
the parallel is Russia coming and putting its hypersonic missiles, which US doesn't have a response to at the moment and can carry nuclear warheads in
Right.
Cuba. Like if the Russians say, okay, you want to do that, we're going to put those. That leaves us back to what was the Cuba Missile Crisis. You end up,
Sure.
the Americans will never accept that, because, and so
Sure, but I assume that the Cuban Missile Crisis can't happen again. Like they're not going to allow anybody to come in and put missiles in Cuba again. They must have learned their lesson after the what happened in the
but that's
back then, right?
but that's the threat that the Russians have. That's
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is that that's not a viable threat anymore. That threat was used up and eliminated. Now they have control. The U.S. has control of
no, no, no,
Cuba
no,
for
no,
all intents and purposes.
no, 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 no. I disagree with
They
you.
they put they put trade embargoes. How do they enforce the trade embargoes? They control what's going in and out of Cuba.
If a Russian military vessel is
Uh,
coming to Cuba
huh.
in international waters, trade embargo or not, and
Mhm,
American vessels try to embark on it or try
mhm,
to attack it, Russia
mhm,
will respond militarily directly on America. So that's not something that the Americans can just
mhm,
go and attack, and the missiles are going to be, like, they're going to be protected and carried with the flotilla, this and that, and it's a whole show and tell pony. It's going to happen. The idea being to send a clear message, not just to the administration, but to the people of America, that, look, you guys did that, we can do this. Look,
mhm.
bring a show and pony, and if you attack us, well, direct nuclear war. That's a direct escalation.
We're
So
gonna strike Florida,
yeah,
right?
I
We're gonna strike Mar-a-Lago.
we're gonna strike Mar-a-Lago. I
Yeah,
think,
yeah,
going back to your original comment, and
yeah,
also
yeah.
to recap, I think, um, we are seeing in 2025, with Trump being in power, a major shift in many, many different areas.
Sure, sure.
Foreign policy, internal policies, the relationships within, and some of these have been coming for a while. It's
Mhm.
not the Lincoln Project. If you actually follow conservative politics, they have been talking about some of these things for like 20 odd years. Um,
You
and
mean Project 2025, right?
yeah, it's not Project 2025. It's not.
Lincoln Project is a different thing.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. Sorry, my
yeah,
my apologies on the
yeah.
mistake there. It's a ongoing conservative policies. It's a
Mhm.
inward looking, more isolationist America. There's always has been an inward looking isolationist America. It's what happened.
Isolationist, but at the same time openly, more of a
Really.
like colonial extractionist mindset because they're looking for minerals and they're looking to take
You
over
know, you
various places.
the thing is that um, the Americans have never stopped looking for those, even during
Sure,
Biden era and this and that. It's done
sure.
diplomatically. Trump does not do things diplomatically,
Yeah,
as yesterday.
he doesn't do diplomacy.
Yeah,
He doesn't do soft power. He does hard power. Sure,
the
sure.
hard power, and that's
Yeah.
exactly what we saw yesterday. And I want to hear from the audience how they think this 2025 will pan out. Is it
Mhm.
going to be good? Is it going to be bad? And how you feel about it. Also, tell us if you want to do more episodes on these particular shifts and changes that are happening globally.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, definitely lots to discuss there, and I think we had a good, pretty good discussion right now. So yeah, let's keep it at that.
All right. Talk to you guys soon. Bye bye. Ciao.
All right, folks, take care.